What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast. That's right. It's the only sports
Yes.
podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there.
Yo, what's
How
up?
we doing today, Casino?
Today is great. Today's a great day. I love outside of October, this is my favorite time for sports is right now, and it's all because of the tournament, the dance, the big dance. This freaking March Madness is just one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest sporting events ever. How they have it set up. It's just so good. I love every second of March Madness. Oh, it's so good. I'm doing great. There's just so much going on when it comes to college basketball, and I'm very happy. I'm happy. I can't help it.
Which brings me, well, first, this March has been mad. We were supposed to record Tuesday, and then my son called me from the nurse's office at school, and he had let me look
He's
it
like,
up.
Dad, I have lice. No, I'm just
Yeah, it was. I wish it was. He had a swelling in his foot. He like sprained his ankle or something like that. He's been walking on crutches since Tuesday, so that was fun. That's why we didn't record Tuesday. Wednesday we couldn't record. Thursday we couldn't record, so that's why we're here Friday. But we did both fill out our brackets, Casino. Mine was immediately shattered.
I was able to get the women's bracket under the ESPN app. I was unable to get the men's because I was up in Utah and I forgot about it. But I've got it right here. For those who are listening, it is chicken scratch on a piece of paper. This is fantastic. But in a couple games I've already played by that. A couple games I've already played by that point, but I was true to who I wanted to win. Like when I filled this out, like the playing games have already happened, but I know who I was going to go for. So, I mean, we'll get into all that, but no, it's fantastic. I got to actually update this. I got to start crossing people off, AKA crossing my losses because I know I didn't do good, but pretty great. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I did do my bracket as well, but I don't know if you saw this or not, Casino. Apparently the Falcons running back Bijan Robinson, he filled out his March Madness bracket going into day 2. He has been correct on all of his picks, which, considering how many upsets and stuff there were yesterday, that is insane. And then I saw before.
Go for it. What were you gonna
say? No, I just saw before that there is another upset brewing right now that he also picked the upset in. So Bijan Robinson is apparently a March Madness bracket genius. I don't know how anyone correctly predicts these brackets, Casino. Because right now,
what upset do we have going right now? I don't see any of them going on right now. No, there's no upsets going on right now. Like
while we're recording this, Clemson is beating New Mexico pretty handily.
I knew that one. Yeah, I knew Clemson was. Dude, all the Mountain West teams have been shitting the bed, and I love it. I know I should be cheering for the Mountain West teams to like make it look, UNLV look better, but I don't care. I want the world to burn for the Mountain West teams because I felt like the Rebels should have got in, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I love every second of it. So it's great. I want all these teams to lose. Makes me happy.
So let's talk about the two biggest upsets in the first round of the playoffs. And that was one that ended on one of the worst calls you're ever going to see. And then one that was just historic in the fact that, I mean, this guy came out of nowhere. His stats are incredible. His name, and of course, we're talking about Oakland, which I found out.
Versus Kentucky. Yep.
Yes, which I found out. This is not Oakland, California. This is like Oakland, Minneapolis, or Minnesota, or something like that. One of those weird, like how there's like Paris, Texas, like one
Right.
of those states that has a city named after another city where it's not the one you think of.
Well, I mean,
So
you
I'll
have
look up.
we live in Las Vegas, but there's Las Vegas, New Mexico.
That's true. Yeah. And so it was Oakland Golden Grizzlies are from, I don't know. I'll look it up. I should have looked this up beforehand, but I just thought of it. I just read about that and I was like, "What?" I thought this was obviously Oakland of California, but it was not.
Yeah, but
But
yes, go for it. What were you saying?
so
Go.
they win last night, upsetting the number 3 seed in Kentucky with this guy named Jack Goley. Leaky Golake? I don't know.
And you know the best part about this though is he wasn't even a starter. He is a bench player that came in because one of their starters, Jones, only played 4 minutes, so he came in for him as a guard. And good thing that he did. Yeah, he was 50% from behind the 50% behind the arc. He did not take any other shot. He went all of his shots, all 20 of his shots were from behind the arc. Every single one, all 20 of them. And he hit 10.
I have
He was 10 for 20 from behind the arc, which is absolutely. And then on free throws, he hit 2. So he ended up with the 32 points. But outstanding play by this guy. Like it's unheard
so
of.
his season stats. This is going to blow your mind, Casino. In the regular season of college basketball, he attempted 8 2-point shots. Okay, during the entire regular season, attempted 8 2-point shots. He attempted in the regular season 347 3-point shots. So this man has no. I mean, why try to get 2 when you can get 3, Casino? That's always
Why?
been the saying. But man, first off, that was a great game, great upset, and you love to see it when this small town team that no one even knows where they're located comes out of the woodwork to beat one of the college basketball powerhouses, right?
And it
And
was a lot of people picked Kentucky
also,
to go all the way.
yeah. Well, also, this has led to my favorite tweet I saw. I can't remember who, what Facebook page I got this from, but somebody named Kenny Fuhr 3 said, "If Calipari is allowed back in Lexington, I will make January 6th look like a kindergarten birthday party." So Kentucky fans taking it well. That was
Jeez.
but the other one, Casino, this
Oh,
one was
there's
just a
which
good game.
which one?
But the other one that I want to talk about is it was the one that ended in one of the worst foul calls you're ever going to see in your life. Did you see that game?
Are we talking about the BYU game?
No, I should have. Again,
What
I rushed
I don't
home
know.
and should have pulled this up. It was Kansas versus Samford. And the
Ew.
13th seed Samford was lost against Kansas against a foul. So what happened was late in the second half, and with Kansas leading 13th seed Samford by 1 point, Jayhawks guard Nick Timberlake, great name, drove to the basket for what appeared to be an uncontested layup. Samford's AJ Stanton McCray, however, wasn't going to give up the easy basket. He blocked Timberlake's attempt with roughly 15 seconds left in regulation. But rather than let the play stand, officials called foul on Stanton McCray. Kansas would ultimately go on to win 93-89. But Kansas at that moment was up 90-89 with 15 seconds left, and then a block that was 100% all ball, no question, was then reviewed and awarded as a foul. So again, we were robbed of a day where we get to see both Kansas and Kentucky lose to a 13th seed, and then Oakland, I believe, what they were 15th ranked, I believe, at the moment. So once again,
Yeah,
ref officiating just across the board in all sports, uh, just sees a different game than everybody who actually watches the games.
got it. And so a couple other games that I wanted to note from yesterday as well. BYU did lose; they were 6C. They lost to DeQuincy. I have no idea. An 11 seed, which I picked BYU to advance on my bracket, but I was really hoping, and I honestly almost picked the other team because I don't like BYU because you know the when I was in college had a rivalry with BYU because they were playing a lot. So I always like rooting against them. Um, so I did pick BYU, but I'm happy they lost in an upset, an 11 beating a 6. Um, my favorite upset of the entire day. I mean, and then Oregon beat South Carolina. I did call that one. I did put that one down on my list, and I was so happy. And I did pick Dayton to beat Reno. And most people know them as Nevada or UNR. They're not. They're Reno. That's what they are. I had on my paper. BJ has a copy of it. I picked Dayton, and there was a point there right towards the end of the game. It was like 5 minutes left or something. I hit up BJ or Will, whatever you want to call yourself. Um,
Doesn't matter.
I hit you up
It
and I
doesn't
let
matter.
you know. I was like, man, Reno's gonna win this game. Boo, blah blah blah. And and then all of a sudden I got an update that Dayton came back. They went on, it was like a 25-4 run to end the game.
Yes,
And they
both
beat
you and I were
Reno
watching that
6-3
game,
or
and
not
you were
63 to
losing your
60.
mind.
That was oh oh my gosh. Like I'm so happy. Like I that has to be one of the biggest blunders that I can recall in March Madness because of just the sheer amount of points that Dayton had to come back. Um, it, wild, wild. And then last game, I guess we could talk about from yesterday that we said that we were going to make the team of the podcast. Creighton beating Akron 77-60. You and I both have Creighton going. So BJ and I, we won't give you our whole brackets. We'll just kind of let you know who we had as it goes on through rest of March. But we both have UConn and North Carolina coming out of the one side, and then we also both have Houston versus Creighton in the other. Yes, Creighton beating and upsetting Purdue. That's where I have it. I don't know if that's where you have in the Elite Eight, but that's what I have it. And I, for myself, letting everybody know, I do have North Carolina beating UConn and going to the finals, and Creighton beating Houston. Probably not going to happen. It's most likely going to be Houston, but it should be Houston. But I am picking Creighton because UNLV beat Creighton earlier on this year, and I want UNLV, who are in the NIT, I want them to win the NIT, and then Creighton at least make the finals and be like, I mean, hell, if they win, that'd be great because then it'd be like, oh, UNLV got snubbed. They won the NIT and they beat the team who won the national tournament. So that's what I'm cheering for. But I do have North Carolina circled in here for the W for the whole thing. What's your Final
Hmm.
Four rundown again? I know that's who you have for Final Four, but how do you have your picks out?
Yeah, so I have Connecticut, North Carolina on the east-west side, and then I have Houston, Creighton on the south midwest side. I have Houston, Connecticut in
You
the
called them Connecticut. Just no, don't just UConn. Come on, sports guy.
Yukon, Connecticut.
UConn.
They're the same
Nobody
thing.
ca-
So
No.
I got
No.
Yukon, Houston in the finals. I have Houston winning predicted score 77-64. That's what I got, Casino. That's what I got. But the only other thing I wanted to talk about in the first round, Casino, was I read
That's
a
fair.
fact. It was a fact that in the first round of the NCAA tournament, the past 2 years, there has been an upset involving a phallic sounding school name upsetting a higher ranked seed than them. Okay, so the only two options this year that fit that criteria was Morehead State against Illinois. Okay, and then the other one was, I have to find them, but I know it was it was Longhead versus, who were they playing? Oh
Longwood
no, I'm sorry. It was
Lo-
Longwood versus Houston.
versus Houston.
Okay.
That's tonight. That's
So,
tonight.
yes.
At 6:20 Pacific.
So in the BYU, I don't know how you say that school name. Duquesne, whatever. What's the team that beat them? How do you
That's
say
what I was
that
saying.
name? I have no idea.
I don't know. That's what I was saying. I don't know.
Duquesne.
Dequeeze.
Yeah. So it was Illinois and Morehead State, and then BYU and Duquesne. I went with Morehead State because I was like, I have Houston going and winning the finals, so I obviously can't have them being upset by Longwood. I went with Morehead, and then it swapped where Illinois won, and then Duquesne was the winner in that one. That's the only part of that bracket in the East bracket that I got wrong. So if I just would have switched those two, however, if this thing that has been going on for 2 years extends to 3 years if tonight at 6:20 p.m. Longwood beats Houston. So there's still a chance to keep this streak alive, Casino. But I thought it would be Morehead. Maybe it's Longwood. Who knows? Who knows? But
How
my
great was that?
question,
If it was where Morehead and Longwood ended up in the finals, that would just be great. The announcements for that would have been just the greatest thing in college basketball history.
well, did you see the jersey swap that happened in the NBA?
Yeah.
Which
Explain that to the viewers, to the listeners.
so there
That was so
was
good. And they did it. They knew, they lined up perfectly. They knew what they were doing.
so there was two players. One of his names is Grady Dick, and the other player's name was Anthony Black. Okay, so after their two teams met in a game, I believe it was the Heat, and I think it would have been the Timberwolves, maybe. I don't know.
honestly,
No,
I
no,
don't
it was the
honestly remember.
Suns. It was
Yeah, I
the
don't know the
Suns.
teams that they were on. I saw them line up.
So, and they know what's about to happen because they are talking about it, and one of them just says like, fuck it, let's do it. And then they jersey swap. They're holding each other's jerseys, and their last names are Dick and Black. So you can, the image of it is definitely 100% going to be the podcast image for the YouTube version of this episode. So you'll be able to see that picture on our YouTube if you haven't already. But just great stuff. If we would have got that combined with a Morehead and a Longwood upset, I mean that's a pervert paradise right there, Casino. That is
I love it. I love it. Right?
My question to you, Casino, is,
Yes.
and I am as guilty of this as anybody. Throughout the regular season of college basketball, I watched maybe at most 4 or 5 games, right? I watched Duke, North Carolina. I watched 2 USC games and then 2 other random ones, right? However, during March Madness, I've already watched 4 games in the past, or I think yesterday I watched 1, 2, 3. I think I watched 4 games just yesterday. Today I've been watching 2 already. I'm going to watch more later as they happen, hoping for that Longwood gets that deep upset
Penetration.
But yeah, is there a sport that more people don't give a shit about the regular season and then all of a sudden are all invested in March Madness more than any other championship game. Is there any sport that has this kind of fan base? Because I don't know, during college basketball regular season, I don't know a single person who like actively watches college basketball. But then when it gets to March Madness, I don't know a single person who doesn't watch March Madness.
Right.
You know what
So
I'm
I
saying?
the
Like
only
it's such
yeah,
a
the only
weird
ones that I would
shift.
say like individual games, you probably say the Super Bowl where the casual fan will actually watch it. Um, not just a sports person. I would say the World Cup finals, but I would have to say outside of this is why I love this tournament so much is outside of probably like the World Cup where you don't even have to like soccer. People are like, oh, how's the team, how is our country doing in the World Cup? Like people have some sort of investment into it. Um, I mean, I guess the Olympics, but I mean that's a special thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
United States college basketball of all things. This is what I'm saying. This tournament is the perfect. It really is the perfect tournament play for of any sport of all time. How they have this set up is absolutely brilliant, and you never know what you're going to get. Like that's why I love watching college over the NBA. Is the NBA? It's fun. I like individual players, but it seems fairly predictable. Like at the beginning of the season, we're both just like, it's going to be Boston and Denver, and you know what? It looks like it's going to be Boston and Denver. But with here, like we can say UConn, North Carolina, Houston, and Creighton. That's three number one seeds. I guarantee you that's not going to happen. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. And that's why you have like great one last year, FAU, who actually just got knocked out today. They had to come back. They were playing well to come back, but they did end up losing against Northwestern, which I had FAU going at least to the next round and then losing to UConn. But regardless, like FAU's run last year, going all the way down to the Final Four, that's absolutely amazing. That was brilliant. So much fun. Like people people are invested into this tournament because the casual fan likes to cheer for underdogs. Like it's just in human nature like, "Oh, that team's expected to win. I don't know anything about the sport. I'm going to cheer for that team." And it brings people together in such a different way than most sports and most tournaments. I absolutely I love March Madness. I love the dance. It's so special in sports. I think it's just perfectly put together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it absolutely it's amazing. Like people I know that I have been serving at my job for years are watching college basketball games when I know for a fact they don't care about sports or they don't care about basketball, and yet they're invested because they find it fun and competitive.
yes. Which also, speaking of that, when the first rumblings of the NBA in-season tournament were being talked about, I was in my mind like, oh, I hope it's done in the way March Madness is, right? Where you just take the standings, you assign a seed of 1 to 16 on both sides, have them do a one and done thing till they get down to the final 8, the final 4, the final 2, and then that's what it is, right? So I still think that the best thing that college basketball has figured out with March Madness is not putting the records and instead just putting the seed numbers. I feel like if all sports
Mm,
adopted that, where it's like you're not watching, you know, the 65 win Celtics go against the uh 10 win Detroit Pistons, you're watching the number 1 Celtics go against the number 16 uh Pistons, and then you also can have the record, but you have their seed number instead of their record. I think that would help all sports be more palatable and more like bring in more of the casual fans, right? Even in the NFL, it's like, oh, the number 1 seed Ravens are playing the dead last Carolina Panthers, right? So it's like this is 1 versus 32. That's going to make that game more interesting because oh yeah, I sent Casino's picture in the group chat. but but that notion will make it more again, I think it makes it more open to the casual fan because you don't have to know anything. All you know is this is the dead last ranked team. This is the number 1 ranked team. And now it's a 10-10 game, right? I think that is the thing that all sports need to uh just put in their presentation, right? Because it doesn't change anything. You're not making anything up. These are the seed numbers for those teams. And I feel like when it comes to March Madness specifically, everybody yesterday, nobody even knows where Oakland is or that they're a college, but you see that number, you see them about to upset a higher seed than them, and all of a sudden you're rooting for Oakland and you don't know a player's name on either team, right? You
Oh
know
yeah.
John Calipari, you know Kentucky. That's pretty much it. Like, and that's the magic of March Madness, as you were just talking about.
And what a
It's
blunder for John. Like, ooh, Calipari. Ooh.
well, what
Going out
this is his first round exit in the past, this second first round exit in the past, what, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, it's
Like,
not good. Rough, buddy.
well, it also, I mean, we've talked about this all
I think
year.
that's his
College
job.
basketball,
I think this happening is
I
his
think
job.
so
He's done.
too.
He's done
But
there.
we've talked
He's
about
done
it.
there.
We've talked about it all year. There's no stars in the men's side of college basketball, right? Everybody can name now 3-4 players on the women's side in college basketball. I don't think the casual fan, myself included, could name the star of men's college basketball right now because everybody's one and done. Everybody's an overseas player. Everybody just goes to the G League. So you don't have anybody you're going to see in the NBA who's playing in college basketball, right? That's like, oh, the unanimous number 1 pick is at Kentucky right now. Like, no, the unanimous number 1 pick is probably in a G League, in the G League overseas, a player you've never heard of who's not in
Right.
college right now. Like, but speaking of the women's bracket, Casino, who do you have going in that one? I did not fill out a women's bracket.
I did. So it's going to be crazy. I picked UNLV. I'll tell you why.
Boo, Homer.
No.
Boo.
Yes, a bit of a homer. But they're the only school outside of South Carolina that has 2 or less losses. Only school. And so they're 30-2. The ladies are 30-2 going into March Madness. They got a 10 seed, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, there's a lot to do with strength of schedule here, and I get that and I understand that. However, because Mountain West for the women's side is so bad. But it's not like they were squeaking out wins. They were blowing teams out by 50 to 60 points. They have like over 6 games, I think, where they have over 100 points. Like, I think a lot of people are underestimating UNLV heavily when it comes to the women's. The bench, we talk a lot about when it comes to basketball, especially in college, that the bench matters a lot. And you have players for UNLV women's team that are scoring. There's been a few games where you've seen the entire starters and bench have double digits in points. Like, it's crazy. Those are the over 100-point games. But I do have South Carolina going to the finals as well. I do have them winning. Realistically, I want UNLV to win, but I think that they can make the finals and play South Carolina. I truly do. I think this could be that. And yes, some of it's being a homer. That's true. I won't deny that. But until I see the UNLV women's team not blowing easy teams out by 40, 50, 60 points, I want to see what they can do against a good team. Yes, they might only win by 5 or 10 points, but I think they've had that mentality all year where even if they're a bad team, we're going to play to our peak and we're just going to blow them out. We're not going to let up just because we're winning. They're going to play like they're going to be playing against the teams in the tournament. So that's where I have. I do have South Carolina winning, and I filled out 2 brackets the same way each way, but at the very end, UNLV winning one, South Carolina winning one. So that's what I have.
However, Casino, in the first round, UNLV goes against the Pod's favorite team, which is Creighton. So,
well, on the men's side,
we're not Creighton across the board. We're just men Creighton.
Yeah,
just,
I want to see
men.
a season sweep, men's and women's, against Creighton, because UNLV beat Creighton earlier this year.
All right, we are back. I took a shower and changed my shirt. Casino shit his soul out. So we are back. First poop break of the podcast.
And grab my child.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Casino
all just
and grabbed his child.
Don't worry, I did not wash my hands, everybody. I did not. Oh wait, I mean,
there you go.
I mean, no. CPS.
But we are here, Casino, to talk about maybe the only noteworthy news that has happened. There was 2 things that have happened since we last recorded in the world of the NFL that I wanted to get your opinion on. The first being the Bears traded quarterback Justin Fields to the Steelers. And now there is a quarterback competition in Pittsburgh between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Thoughts on him going to the Steelers, Casino?
That with also Kenny Pickett going to the Eagles. Let's not overlook that there, bud. After the Steelers, right? After the Steelers were saying, "Oh, we've got our guy. We've got our guy. We're not going for quarterbacks. We've got our guys. And then yet they go get Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett. Wow. Talk about a 180 there. You know what? I like it. I truly think Justin Fields is going to get the start over Russell Wilson. I think we've talked about it. I think Russell, I knew you were going to have a on that. We've talked about Russell Wilson already not being a starter in this league again unless there's an injury. Even with the trade going through like this, yes, would Russell Wilson get the start over Kenny Pickett? There could have been a debate, but I think with Justin Fields going over there, you need to give Justin a try. You know what you're going to get from Russell Wilson. He's been in the league. He's been having struggles. You know, Justin Fields shows promise, but I mean, he's been playing for the Bears, who don't do anything to help him out. So this is really going to be Justin Fields' year to try to figure something out. I mean, the Steelers, they're not the greatest team, but they're definitely better than the Bears in personnel-wise. So I really like to see what Justin Fields could do. I think he gets to start over Russell Wilson. I don't think there's going to be much of a competition there. At least that's in my eyes. What's your take on that? First off, wild that Steelers said that they weren't going to go for any quarterbacks, and then yet they go after 2 quarterbacks. Yeah. Flippy floppy. Snip, snap.
So, yeah, the first thing that happened in this mix was that Kenny Pickett got traded to the Eagles, which is a pick I like because I think him and Jalen have a very similar play style. And I think under Kellen Moore, they can both flourish. And again, the past couple of years, last year, Hurts didn't miss any games, but he was injured for pretty much the second half of the season. And then the year before that, he missed a handful of games.
Excuses.
But
okay.
No, so with
Okay, Niner fan. Excuses.
But yeah, with a quarterback that has been banged up in the past and his play style leads to him being banged up, I like having a viable backup quarterback who isn't a Marcus Mariota, right? I like when we had Gardner Minshew. I like now having Kenny Pickett. However, the Justin Fields aspect of it is that the Eagles called about acquiring Justin Fields, and apparently they offered them and another mystery team. I don't know if it's been released, offered a higher draft compensation than what the Steelers were uh, ultimately gave up to Justin Fields. However, then the Bears organization came out and was like, "Oh, hey, we wanted to do right by Justin Fields and like send him to a place where he has the opportunity to start." Obviously, that being the Steelers. But my question is, now all of a sudden the Bears have the first overall pick and they're completely re-energizing their defense, their offense, making big splashy moves in free agency and all this kind of stuff for uh for now the obvious reason, since they trade away Justin Fields, is for Caleb Williams. So if they
Caleb
like
Williams
and
is going to the
respected Justin
Bears.
Fields, yeah, if they liked and respected Justin Fields so much to let him basically pick where he gets traded to out of respect to him, why did they not respect him enough to try to build this type of winning team around him in the 3 years he was there? That's where
Yeah, I don't know.
the disconnect is. Like, and apparently on this podcast, I said before he was
I mean, this is
traded,
the only
I
one,
would stick
so
with no, I said on a previous podcast.
yeah.
I said that I would keep Justin Fields for one more years with this loaded roster that appears to be getting more loaded, and then that's even before the draft came up. I would have traded the pick up more draft capital, drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe some offensive linemen, and just see what you had, right, with Justin Fields. But now it's weird to be the Bears being like, oh man, we just got rid of our quarterback, but we wish him the best and we're trying to give him the best opportunity to succeed. So it's like, why are you now granting him that when he leaves your team and not when he was on your team? It seems like such a backwards way. Also, there's still, I don't know, half the commentators in this league talking when they talk about football who still believe Justin Fields can be a next level quarterback, and he was just in the wrong system to achieve that. So, isn't that the same with Caleb Williams? Like, at least with Justin Fields, you've seen him get it done somewhat in the NFL on a bad team. He has the rushing ability. He might be the fastest quarterback playing quarterback right now. So, you get him in an offense tailor made for him. And who knows? But I'm saying you've at least seen him have some modicum of success in the NFL. Caleb Williams, there's still a giant mystery component to him. And most people are like, this is a generational talent. But most people thought about Trevor Lawrence, and he's kind of regressing every year he plays. So now the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams, which is what you said you would do if you were the Bears GM, Casino. Any, you think it's just, you think that, do you think that Caleb Williams is all he's going to be advertised to be?
Oh man. I want to say yes, but track records say no. Just with how many busts are in the first. Do I think he's going to be a good, competent quarterback? Yes. Do I think he will be a starter in this league for a good while? Yes. Do I think he's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes, the next Tom Brady, the next Aaron Rodgers? No, I don't. I would like him to prove me wrong, but just going off of the numbers and how often overall picks just bust, especially in the quarterback position, because it's such a major leap from college to the NFL for any position, but especially for quarterback. I need to see it first. I need to see it first. Do you 100% take him? Even if they did keep Justin Fields, do you take him? Yes, you take him. You can't pass up on him. You have to take him. You have to try and get that generational talent when that's what the scouts are saying. Do scouts get it wrong all the time? Sure. But you can't pass up the opportunity because if it does strike, you were the team that did not take him. And you brought up last pod or a couple pods ago about the Patrick Mahomes thing. You missed out. The Panthers, they missed out as well. They took Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud. They missed out. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh, I
that one's just a little bit, but like it's a little different, but the concept is still the same that don't miss. Don't miss. Because you're getting so much slack for not taking like the Panthers. For not taking CJ Stroud. You're getting a lot of slack. But yet everybody had Bryce Young as the number one overall. And then people had players better than Mahomes. People had better higher picks than Brady and all that stuff. So for people to be upset that a player didn't get picked at a certain position when they had the opportunity later on in the rounds, like that's a little bit more acceptable to be like, we missed, but the fans still don't like it when you miss and you had the opportunity. So if you don't take the number one overall and you have that choice, you have nobody in front of you. It's your pick and you miss and you don't take him and he becomes that generational player. That is going to hurt 10 times worse than if you're like, he's a fifth overall pick, we're going to take the sixth overall pick because we think that he's going to be better than the fifth, and it doesn't work out. That's a gamble. But when you have the number one, you have to take him. You have to.
Yeah. I think it came down to, what is it? It came down to like exactly what you said. They've been burned so many times in the past that this one, it's like we've had Justin Fields. We're still a team that is nowhere close to the playoffs. So now we'll get the quarterback everybody is saying is a can't miss, and then we'll just go from there. We'll build our team to benefit the quarterback, trade away our current quarterback, and then go from there. It seems weird. Like, there is also a scenario where why didn't they just keep Justin Fields and then draft Caleb Williams and see what they got? It's not like they got a huge haul for Justin Fields. It's not like they had to pay him any money. So he still was in that last year of the rookie contract where they weren't really paying him anything. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's my confusion. That's my confusion there is you still had another year under a rookie contract. Why get rid? Like,
yeah.
Even if you want to bench him, make it a quarterback competition, see what he's got. Because even if you didn't, gosh darn it, my kid grabbed the microphone. Oh, okay. Sorry, he knocked it over. Okay. This is fun. Take over.
But yeah, so that's our thoughts on Justin Fields. I do agree with you, Casino. I don't know if he'll be a week one starter for the Steelers, but I believe by midseason he'll be the Steelers' starting quarterback unless Russell Wilson just goes there and balls out. But we've seen the peak of Russell Wilson, and we've seen a slight decline. I don't think we've seen the peak of Justin Fields yet.
I don't think we have either. I don't think we have either. He's had to do everything in his power to be okay and still relevant in this league. And 90% of it has to be on the ground because he doesn't have time to throw the football. Give him a team and give him a legendary coach in this league and see what he can do with a team that is gosh darn it, this kid. Give him a team that is going to go at least 500 because that's their MO, under Tomlin. Like, you have a legendary coach in Tomlin. I think he's, we've talked about him. He's an amazing coach. I think this is perfect and primed up for him to show what he finally needs to show in the NFL. And if you fall flat, you fall flat. but he's getting his opportunity finally, and I do think he'll be the starter. My kid is so fascinated by this. This is phenomenal. Just grabbing at it. Just wants it.
But the other news coming out of the NFL casino is after 10 seasons in the NFL, Aaron Donald, defensive lineman for the Los Angeles Rams, has announced his retirement.
Multiple defensive player of the year.
Yeah. Some would say arguably maybe the best defensive player to ever play in the NFL. I still think that's Lawrence Taylor, but I don't think you can name 5 players better than Aaron Donald.
Right. No, I think I agree with you 100% there. I think Lawrence Taylor, but then after that, I mean, you started who is better than Aaron Donald after Lawrence Taylor. Then I think it's a good debate. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you can make the argument for him being the number 2 best defensive player of all time. I don't think you can make the number 1. But also, I don't think if somebody put him at number 1, you'd be like, there's no way, right? I feel like you can make the case for him at
defensive
number 1.
Defensive lineman, not defensive player. There's better defensive players.
Oh, that I agree. But I saw this crazy stat on X that I wanted to show you. It's by this guy named Barshop. Over the past 5 years, the NFL average pass rush win rate against a single pass blocker was 17% for a qualified rusher. So against a one-on-one pass rusher versus pass blocker situation, the win rate was 17%. Aaron Donald posted an 18% pass rush win rate against double teams in that same span, making him better against 2 pass rush blockers than the average pass rusher was one-on-one. So he was better in a double team than most guys were against a one-on-one situation.
So I'm going to go off on a little Patriot thing here just because it's relevant to this, exactly what you're saying, and which is a wild thing. Is so when the Rams and the Patriots played recently, and it was that low scoring Super Bowl and the Patriots won. I just watched the Turning Point again because I wanted to, or mic'd up, or whichever one it was. But they were talking about there was a certain play where Gronkowski, the one where Gronkowski made that great long catch and set him up for the game winning touchdown. Joe Thuney went against Aaron Donald one-on-one multiple times and stopped him. And they highlighted that the 2-time defensive player of the year, Joe Thuney, went one-on-one. And that was one of the plays that went unnoticed to help set up the play that everybody knows. And I love that they brought that up. And I love that you're bringing this up, is just how dominant Aaron Donald was against the oh my gosh,
double team,
just
against the pass rush.
Being a pass rusher, and how dominant he was at this, that the people who were writing this Turning Point for the NFL, they had to highlight that because they know how impressive that was for Joe Thuney to stop him one-on-one, not once, but twice in succession. And they show Aaron Donald on the side saying, oh, they gave me a one-on-one. That's on me. I need to win that. I expect to win that. And it's like, yeah. And then you bring up that he was better than the average pass rusher at double teaming. Like, that is wild.
Yeah.
That I'm glad you pulled that up.
Well,
and because I knew that he had a high stats. I didn't know it was that crazy. So after watching that recently and them highlighting that during the Super Bowl, and then you telling me this, like, it's just, he is brilliant of a player. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So,
and also, crazy thing to add to what you were just saying, the same year that Jason Kelce retires is the same year as Aaron Donald. In their entire playing career, they only had a handful of games against each other. Aaron Donald never got a sack against the Eagles going against Jason Kelce. So he has
Woo.
never had a sack against the
Well,
Eagles.
we talked
So
about it last. We talked about it last episode that Jason Kelsey is probably is in the argument for one of the greatest centers to ever play the game.
yeah, and
I
Aaron
mean,
Donald's one of
I
the
think,
best
yeah, D
defensive
line,
tackles to ever play the
yeah,
game. So
yeah. You put both of those players. I mean, yes, we only have 30 years worth of knowledge of this, but I would say you put both those players in at least the top 5 conversation of all time easily
yeah,
in their
yeah.
positions.
Oh yeah. I don't. Yeah, it's not even debatable. But yeah, I mean, you look at Aaron Donald's stats; they're insane for a 10-year career. But especially from 2017 to 2021, he had an 11 sack season, a 20 and a half sack season, 12
Wow.
and a half sack season, 13 and a half sack season, and 12 and a half. So he
And
went
and the
11,
majority of those
20,
are all going to
12,
be double
13,
teamed.
12.
And the majority of those
Yeah.
are going to be double teamed.
And that's
Wow.
just sacks. That's not tackles for a loss. That's not tackles. That's not assisted tackles. Like,
Or those might not be the double team ones, but those are the rare occasions that they do one-on-ones and he just beats them.
yeah.
So
So
it'll be
this
missed to see
offseason,
him
we've seen, yeah,
tip the cap.
two of the best all
Two of the
time
best in their
retire that
positions.
draft class
Yeah.
or that Hall of Fame class. Going to be great. Going to be great.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Gonna be a good one.
all right, Casino. You got anything else before we get out of here?
I mean, I could just touch up on the standings for the NHL if you want or not. You want to say that for next episode?
No, I say, yeah, take us through what's happening in the NHL. For NBA, it's still I'll touch on the NBA quickly because there's nothing really to talk about. I sent you since our last episode that insane one of the best game-winning shots you're ever going to see is Kyrie Irving hitting the hook shot at the end of the Mavs game to win. That was crazy. Did you also see the Anthony Edwards dunk, which people are saying is one of the best dunks ever?
Yeah.
That one was great. But as far as the standings in the NBA go, Celtics still on top, Bucks, Cavaliers till 2 and 3. East is basically locked up because Celtics have a 10.5 point or 10.5 game lead. And the West, it's still that 3-team race between the Thunder and Nuggets, who are tied, Timberwolves a game and a half behind, and then kind of everybody else after that. So East is basically a 1-team race. West is a 3-team race with only a game and a half separating them. So as we get to the last couple weeks of the season, it's going to be very interesting, especially in the West, to see who comes out as that number 1 seed. And then in the East, it's the Celtics year, but for some reason, I feel like nobody believes in this Celtics team. So it'll be definitely very interesting to see if the Celtics can pull this off.